Welcome back to Elite Sports Talk. Today is a special day. I have my cousin Bones with me, and we are going to break down of some of the stuff that's going on in the NFL. And if we have time, we'll get to some more likelies. And always remember, for Elite Sports Talk content, if you want to listen to the episodes, they are found wherever podcasts can be found, especially on Spotify. When it comes to video, you can watch the full episodes on Rumble or YouTube. And always remember to check out the Elite Sports Substack for really all kinds of cool content. And a lot more is going to be coming with the NFL right around the corner. And now let's get to the gridiron to discuss the NFC East.
Oh boy, going right at the East, huh?
Okay, so how does this division look for this season in your eyes? And being that you are an Eagles fan, do you think that the Eagles will win the division yet again, or you think there will be a surprise team? And obviously, when I say will there be a surprise team that will win the division, we're not thinking of Dallas or Philly. It would more so be Washington or the New York Giants.
So, I am gonna go. I think the Eagles are gonna win the division. I think that the Commanders are gonna be better than they were last year. I think that the Giants have pieces. They've gotten pieces in place, right? They're getting better, but I still think that they're going to be probably in the 4th seed there, and I still think Dallas is going to find ways to win and be the number 2 seed. And I say that just because that's what Dallas does, right? They can score a lot of points. I think their defense is got a little bit better. If Dak Prescott is healthy, you got CeeDee Lamb, you got Micah Parsons. That's a good core right there, and I think that they're going to be. I don't think they're going to get to 10 wins. I think they're probably going to get to like 8. I think the Eagles are probably 11-6 again. I'm going to go with that. But I do think that Washington is going to probably be 500. And I think the Giants probably jump up to maybe 6 wins.
Okay. So I don't think that Philly will win the division again, but I'm going to tell you why. For one, has nothing to do with the loss of A.J. Brown, because I believe that they needed that to happen because, as great of a relationship and as long as he may have been really good friends with Jalen Hurts, the truth of the matter is he has built up more of a rapport with his old college receiver in Devonta Smith. So really that was limiting having A.J. Brown there. It was kind of limiting, how much better their offense could be because he was all about me. And I'm not saying that I dislike him. I love him. Going back to when he was with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill back in the Tennessee Titan days, A.J. Brown, he's always been an elite receiver. I feel like from day one.
Yeah.
And he kind of reminded me of like a T.O. type of a receiver because he could run anybody over as well if he needed to. But again, he was more so about him. The ball needed to go to him. And on the offense that you had, with a healthy Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, who still, except for nowadays you got Jahmyr Gibbs, you got Bijan Robinson, and you got Christian McCaffrey. Outside of those three, Barkley is probably the best versatile running back who could also be a receiver in the league. So you needed to go away from A.J. Brown to get better. Now they bring in Mekhi Lemon, this rookie who honestly may have the best hands of the entire rookie class. But my thing is, this is another year that Jalen Hurts, for his entire career, every year he's had to learn a new offense. Now, the thing about this offense compared to any other offense that he has had, there's going to be a lot of different concepts. There's going to be a lot of different everything, really. This is kind of like night and day. I feel as though the offense is going to be a lot more reliant on what Hurts can do than, what they can do in the run game. Not to say that they're not going to run the ball, because they still have Barkley. They still have a very good offensive line. It's just, it's going to be so much different than any offense I think that he's ran. And if anything, I would say this offense may be a little more comparable to when he was with Nick Saban in Alabama, which, I mean, he can air the ball out, and we've seen that. But for me, it's kind of a mix of everything, and also I think their defense is going to regress slightly. I think that their linebacker play may not be as great as it was. Their edge rushers are still going to be good. Their DBs are still going to be elite. And overall, they're still going to be a good defense. Vic Fangio is a great defensive coordinator. But I just think that they may regress a little bit. And at the same time, why they may regress, if you look at the Dallas Cowboys, which I hate to say it, they might have the best defense, not only in this division, but one of the best defenses in the entire conference. I mean, when you go out and you get a Rashawn Gary from Green Bay, D winners, you already have a homegrown Demarion Overshawn. You have Kenny Clark, who came in, obviously, with that trade last year that sent Micah Parsons packing. And then you got Quinnen Williams. That's just the line and the edge rushers. You also got Jalen Thompson from Arizona in the offseason. You already have Malik Hooker. Kobe Durant came in from the Rams. And Deron Bland. P.J. Locke came over from Denver. And you have a kid that we really have not seen a whole lot of from East Carolina, and Siobhan Revel Jr., who was one of the best corners in his class. So, I mean, I don't know how, if their offense can play the way that their offense was last year, and CeeDee Lamb doesn't have the Butterfinger problem that he had last season, with a resurgence in Javonte Williams and Dak, if he is the way that he's been the majority of his career, really, when healthy, this is going to be a tough team to beat. And last year, I believe that they went 3-3 in the division, and really, you could argue they should have been probably 5-1 had it not have been for some injuries. But I think that they could possibly wind up winning the division. If they do not, then, I mean, the Giants roster, it's too good to ignore. But it's all really predicated around Malik Neighbors, how well this team may do. And, we don't know exactly when he's going to come back. They had to go back in, and they had to clean some things up in his knee. He's a heck of a player, man. And bringing in somebody like an Isaiah Likely, who we never really got to see exactly how great he could be, being the backup to Mark Andrews. Cam Scatterbo looks like he's already pretty much 100%. And
I like that guy.
Cam Scatterbo, and the crazy thing about this is, when they drafted him, I don't think that they knew exactly how good. Yes, because Tyrone Tracy ran for 1,000 yards as a rookie. And then I believe he ran for 1,000 last year, largely because Cam Scatterbo ended up going down. So, I mean, they have a very good team. Jameis Winston, if need be, being a backup, showed that he still actually has more left in the tank than I thought.
He's a character. I love that guy.
That touchdown catch that he caught, that was crazy.
No, I'm talking about Winston.
Yeah. But you don't remember the game they threw him the ball?
He's great. I could listen to him. When he's done playing, if he's just, whether he does like TV or whatever, he's must-watch TV, that guy. He cracks
agree.
me up. I think he's a funny guy. He plays with a lot of enthusiasm, and some of the things he says are just great.
He preaches. I mean, I remember...
He's funny, man.
with Cleveland. It was a primetime game. I think it was against the Broncos in the locker room beforehand, and he wasn't scheduled to be the starter. He ended up starting that game. I forget the reasons why, but the way that he rallied the Cleveland Browns, and they almost beat the Broncos on a primetime game.
Yeah, I mean, when he was on Tampa Bay, I want to say he had like 30 touchdowns.
30 touchdowns, but 30 interceptions.
30 interceptions. I was just going to say that, right? The guy never saw a covered wide receiver. He aired it out, and then that's how he played, and you could see that in his personality too, and that it's great. He's a great guy. I like to see him, do well. So whether he's backing up or whatnot, he's just a good guy to have on the bench, I think.
Yeah, you got to believe. I mean, not that Jackson Dart needs confidence instilled into him by somebody else, but you got to believe that is a great person to look to in Jameis Winston. And like you said, I mean, I would listen to him talk about anything, man. Yeah, he's smart. He's funny. Yeah. He's really down to earth.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this Giants team, they even brought in Tremaine Edmonds, DJ Reader from Detroit, Shelby Harris, who's still pretty decent even now at this point in his career, coming over from Cleveland. Ardarius Washington from Baltimore. Really, they plucked like 5 people, I believe, from Baltimore to come along for the ride with Harbaugh. So,
yeah, I mean, you got a good coach there, right?
Yeah.
I just don't think that they're there yet. I just don't. I still think the best on paper is the best team on paper is still the Eagles, even without A.J. Brown. And I think that they're still going to be a top defense. And I do think that offense is going to take a step forward than they did last year. Passing offense, I think, is going to be much better with a new scheme, new coordinator again. And, you got the guys on defense, Jalen Carter, Cooper DeJean. You got those guys that are gonna make it happen. So, that's just my thought on it. But yeah, the Giants have gotten better. They got a great coach, all-time great coach, and you got to be aware of that. But yeah, I hate those other teams. It's really tough. And I'm sorry about that.
No, you're fine. And I mean, I think if Malik Neighbors is healthy and Cam Scadaboo is healthy, I think right away, just because of those guys being there,
be better.
They get an extra 3 wins, maybe 4.
Cam Scadaboo is a beast, right?
He's
one of those old school like running backs where he wants somebody to try to tackle him because he's going to lower his head and he's going to take you down, and I like that. I like that a lot. I like that old school. I'm going to put my head down, give me the ball. I'm going to run through this guy, and score a touchdown. So I do like that, he's also a guy that rallies the troops, and I like those kind of guys that they're going to give their all the time, and your teammates see that. And they respect you. I mean, you could see, like, even guys on the Eagles when he got hurt, and I know other teams, they reached out to him, and he's a rookie.
Yeah.
Right? It's a devastating injury, but I don't know how often you see that. So, I mean, that just shows you, like, a lot of respect for that young guy in his first season playing. And hate to see a devastating injury like that, but I'm sure he's working as hard as he can to get back and be ready for week 1. I don't know what his injury update looks like, but I would like to see him out there and do well out there.
Absolutely, yeah. Him and Jackson Dart together, that's like a match made in heaven for the Giants to get them out of, I guess, NFL purgatory where they were for so many years. Right. And
they're going to just be better. They're going to win more games just because they got an actual coach.
Yeah, and I remember watching them. I think it was a Thursday night game when they upset Philly, and I don't think anybody seen that coming. Like, I thought it would be, a good close game because those division games, especially in the NFC East, they're always tough games like that.
Always.
But man, Scadaboo ran, and he ran all over your defense. Yeah. But I remember watching him. I don't know if you watched him in Arizona State. I mean, I was always a Boise Broncos fan, and Ashton Genty, I was hoping that he was going to win the Heisman, and he was one of the best, if not the best running back the last 2 seasons of college football. But when I seen Cam Scadaboo, I was like, whoa, hold on a second. I looked at his numbers. His numbers were incredible all 4 years of college. So, yeah, hopefully he gets healthy and he gets back soon. But back with Philly, with Sean Mannion, I believe this will be the first time in his career that he'll be the play caller for a team. Okay. So that's another thing, too, to think about. But, I mean, when you look at their skill positions, I've been saying this on previous episodes, not only Devonta Smith and Mekhi Lemon, but also Darius Cooper, who last year as a rookie, I remember seeing him in training camp and some preseason games, and I thought, wow, this kid might wind up being a household name in a couple of years. And now, obviously, without A.J. Brown, there is more room in this offense for Jaylen to be able to spread the ball around to, 4 or 5 guys. And then, obviously, Goddard's still there if he's healthy. And then I really like what Philly did with the running back position. I mean, I never would have thought that Tank Bigsby, him and Travis Etienne both with Jacksonville, that looked like a great pair. You fast forward a year and a half later, neither one of those running backs are there. Etienne's down in New Orleans. Tank Bigsby is the direct backup to Barkley. And Will Shipley, don't forget about him. He's also skilled, can come out of the backfield, just like a Barkley. And then Dameon Pierce, who had a great rookie year with Houston, and then they kind of just, shuffled the deck and got Joe Mixon, and he was kind of forgot about. So Philly has not only 1, not 2, but 4 really good running backs.
Yeah, I think that's where I think that's where the Eagles have to start. For the Eagles to still, and I think the Eagles are going to win the division, but I think that it has to start with that run game, and whether that's with Saquon and Tank and all 4 of those guys, but Jaylen is, and you can see it. He is very calculated in what he does out there, and you see that, and it frustrates the fans because they're like, he was open, but in his eyes, maybe he wasn't open, and you don't know how quick these D-backs are, right? So throwing over the middle for him is what everybody talks about, right? And maybe they weren't running the ball well enough to get the looks that he wants to throw to. Right? Because what's the biggest thing in the NFL that'll make you lose games? It's turning the ball over.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you got those gunslingers, right, you can rack up some points, but when you're turning the ball over, that's when you get behind the 8 ball, and that's when you can't do what you want to do. And then if your coaches aren't going to change things up at halftime, you're going to come out and do the same damn thing that you just did in the first half, you're not going to win games that way, right? And maybe you do win games and it looks just really ugly, right? And the only reason why you win games is because your defense is keeping you in it. So I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to run the ball. It's going to start with Saquon, and I think it's going to be, and I want to see some screens like in this offense, right? I don't want to see a wide receiver screen for the rest of my life because I saw so many of them over the years. But I want to see your old-fashioned screen. Get them guys out pulling. Get those big hog mollies running down, getting down that line and running people over, and let Saquon just run behind that. And then when he gets his hole, gone. Right? That's what I want to see. And those kind of plays are going to open things up for Jaylen. And I think that is going to be, if I'm the offense coordinator, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to run that rock and open up lanes.
Yeah, definitely. And Philly definitely has not only the offensive linemen to do that and make that happen, but they also have the skilled position guys in, their wide receivers, certainly their running backs, even Goddard at times. Yeah. They definitely have that. And, the only other team that I didn't mention yet is Washington. And, they left a lot to be desired last year, and I understand, Daniels was hurt he missed so many games, which it was a shame, the injury, and then he came back, got injured again. But, you got to think that they will be better. I don't know that they're going to get back to that level that they were with Jayden as a rookie, where they got all the way to the NFC Championship before they got trashed by the Eagles, letting 56 points up or whatever it was. But this year, you look at their defense, they drafted some guys. They never re-signed Bobby Wagner. They never re-signed Von Miller. And I get it, they're both, getting up in age. But Von Miller still had 9.5 sacks last year as a rotational piece that didn't really see the field that much. And,
you gotta love those guys.
Yeah, but and Bobby Wagner, even him getting up in age, he was still top 5 in tackles, I believe, every year that he's been in the league. I mean, he's insane. So I don't really know how they're going to address that and, how they're going to be able to account for that production that they're going to lose from those two. Their DBs, it looks like they did get a little bit better there. And Dan Quinn is obviously a defensive-minded coach. You got to think that their defense is going to be at least one level better than as they were last year. But then the receiver position, okay, so you still have McLaurin, but right now it looks like Luke McCaffrey's the other starter. I mean, Debo, he's also getting up in age, but I would have tried to bring Debo back, even if it's not just another one-year deal. Now the situation with Brandon Ayuk, who, it seemed like they wanted to bring him in because of the relationship he has from when he played with Daniel back in college, but that I don't know that any team is going to sign Ayuk right now. And like I said, Luke McCaffrey, nothing against him, but I don't see him being the receiver that his father was, or even the type of a player that Christian is. I think he's decent at times, and also the fact that they lost, in my opinion, and probably yours as well, a future Hall of Famer in Zach Ertz with that leg injury. I don't know that he's going to be back for Washington either. So I don't know. In terms of a surprise team winning the division, I'm going to say no as well. But as much as I hate to say it, I think this might actually be the year for Dallas, because in my opinion, I think there's some question marks about Philly. And like I said, I think Dallas is just getting better. The Giants are getting better. We have to see, yet to be determined with Washington. Yeah. But that's where I'm going to end it with that there. And then, so the next thing for NFL is, how much more effective will the Denver Broncos offense be with a Jaylen Waddle?
Ooh.
So
elite speed.
Yeah, this is crazy, because honestly, this brings me back to when we got Peyton Manning. And I say we because obviously I'm a Denver Bronco fan. You can see all the stuff in the background here. And, the offense, the prolific offense that we had with Peyton was because we had Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders and Eric Decker. And I can't remember the tight end, but he was a very good tight end as well, though short-lived. And this year, Courtland Sutton, we know, basically ever since he's been in the league, though he did not have consistent play out of the quarterback position up until last year, really, with Bo. He's not an elite receiver, but I would put him maybe on that second tier. And now this year, having someone like a Jaylen Waddle, who's also a true number one, and quite frankly, maybe a little bit better probably than Courtland Sutton, That's going to bring the best out of Cortland. And then you look at some of these other guys that they have as well. Troy Franklin, they're looking like they may, put him back a few slots on the depth chart, which is fine. He's a young player. But ultimately, I believe they will keep him because the chemistry that he has already had with Bo, not just last year, but in Oregon. Then Pat Bryant, who started showing some signs that he could be somebody special as a rookie last year as well. And then we have Marvin Mims. This offense is just, I think they're going to be one of the most dominant offenses in the AFC, and I don't say that lightly. Last year, the offensive line was one of the best in both pass protection and run protection. We brought back J.K. Dobbins, who was probably the healthiest that he's been in his career, though he did miss a few games. He almost got to 1,000 yards. R.J. Harvey as a rookie was phenomenal. And then this year with Jonah Coleman, who a lot of people might be sleeping on. And the funny thing about me saying a lot of people might be sleeping on him, if you're in a fantasy league, and it's a dynasty league, I would look to maybe draft Jonah Coleman. I've been seeing some stuff out of their camp, and Coleman actually looks like he's the quickest out of the three running backs. So, and I keep saying this, when it comes to Sean Payton, what do we remember from his days in New Orleans? What did he always have? He always had multiple good running backs that were versatile, right? He had Darren Sproles, Alvin Kamara. He had Reggie Bush. He had Mark Ingram. He had, towards the end of his career, Deuce McAllister. So, I mean, the man knows how, if nothing other than to get great production out of his running game. So, I mean, again, I think that this is going to be one of the most dominant offenses in the league. And it is our first-year offense coordinator now with Davis Webb, because Joe Brady left in the offseason. So we'll see how that works out. But Davis Webb was already the quarterback coach for Bo Nix last year. So that's another positive thing here. But yeah, I think that's all I got on this. I mean, I don't know what you want to...
I mean, I think that you're looking at elite speed coming out of Jaylen Waddle, and, put him on the other side with Courtland Sutton. You could be looking at 2,000-yard receivers there, and you pair that with Sean Payton, it's going to be an explosive offense if everybody can stay healthy, that's for sure. But then, and Bo Nix is, he looked great. He looked great all, until that. It's a shame he got hurt there. What I think the biggest concern with them is going to be, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, and a healthy Bengals. Where do they fit in that top four, right? Because I think they're like 5.
Really?
Maybe above Cincinnati. I don't know. I really think that they're going to be really good this year. I don't know if they're of the Kansas City and Buffalo and Baltimore yet.
Okay,
and
well,
even Cincinnati, the defense has been horrible for years now. But when you have a healthy Joe Burrow, anything can happen with that team, right? So I just wonder where they fall in there. Where do you think they fall in there?
I mean, the only team that I think at this point in time we got to wait and see, because I've been saying for years, talking great things about Lamar and Baltimore, but they've never had that dominant number one receiver option. So that's something to look at. Derrick Henry's still going to be Derrick Henry. He may have, I don't even want to say he regressed. He just turned the ball over more last year, and we've never really seen that. So that was a crazy thing. But they still have Lamar. They still have Derrick Henry. We'll have to see how Flowers does, if he can take that next step. They also, I believe they have a rookie receiver that they drafted. We'll have to see how he fares. What's the tight end's name again? Mark Andrews. Mm-hmm. So, if he comes out and plays the way that he's been playing last year, he missed some games, got hurt. But, that's why with them, I'm looking like if they can maybe get somebody like a Deebo Samuel, the packages that they could have him, Lamar, and Henry all together in the backfield, that would be something special because you would never know who's going to run with the ball. But if anything, I think that they might be the only team. Okay, so you look at the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Is Mahomes going to be 100%? Or are they going to kind of force him, or is he going to force himself to play, right, in the first couple of weeks of the season? That's number one. The off-field issues with Rashee Rice, they really haven't gotten the best version yet out of the rookie receiver from last year out of Texas. Now Travis Kelce is another year older. I don't know how that's going to look. The offensive line hasn't been able to hold up in pass protection for Patrick Mahomes. Their defense is still pretty good. I think that we've seen the best version of them in the past right now. And Bo was 2-0 against the Chiefs last year. Really, he was extremely close to being 4-0 against them in his career, if not for his rookie year with that field goal block. And I think that we may already be maybe the kings of the West right now, but I still do believe the Chiefs will make the playoffs this year.
I mean, it's the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
They're always going to be, as long as you have Patrick Mahomes, I feel like, and you have an elite quarterback like that, they're always going to be in there. It's like Tom Brady. It's like Peyton Manning. You got those kind of guys. You got a chance to win every week.
That's true, but how's that offensive line going to hold up against a team that almost had 72 sacks last season? That's another thing to think about.
True.
Buffalo Bills, we took them down in the playoffs. It was not pretty, obviously. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy for them to do that again. So,
you got them up in like the.
I would say 1, 2, 3. If I'm gonna put two teams above them, it would be Buffalo slightly, and just knowing how great Lamar can be, maybe the Ravens as well. But it's also not just about our offense, our defense. We have a better defense than both of those teams. Though the Ravens, hopefully, after that whole disastrous thing with Max Crosby and they were going to get him, then they didn't get him, and then they went and got the guy Trey Hendrickson from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So I hope, because growing up, I loved watching their defense. They were always about their defense. So hopefully for Baltimore, their defense will be better. But other than that, the other thing about the Broncos with Bo Nix is, he talked to the media and he said the only thing that he's concerned about with his ankle is that he may be able to move around better than he ever had because he actually had something going on with his ankle for the past 3 years, come to find out. But, so I think, is there anything else you want to say or?
No, I mean, I agree.
All right, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all right, we're going to hit some more likelies, and that'll be it. Okay, so we're going to start with NBA playoffs. In 2026, who do you believe is more likely to make it further in the playoffs, the 76ers or the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go Sixers.
I'm gonna go Sixers as well. The way that both of these teams the rosters are constructed right now, even without LeBron on either one of these teams.
Without LeBron, I'm just gonna go with who I think the best player on the floor is going to be, and that's going to be Jaylen Brown. And I feel like he wins games. I
agree. Okay, what about the Detroit Pistons or the new version of the Boston Celtics?
I still think the Celtics there, and I think because I think Tatum's going to still, get it done. I still think that they'll be a playoff team and they'll still be good. They're just not going to be as good.
Okay. This one's tough because Cade Cunningham, I don't know what's going to happen with Jalen Duren, if they are going to retain him or not, but as much as I don't want to agree, I actually do. I don't really like the move of them going out and getting the backup center from the Knicks and paying 40-something million for him. He didn't really do great in the championship. But like you said, I mean, they still have Tatum. They still also have Derek White, Peyton Pritchard off the bench. I think I'm going to go with the Celtics as well. What about the Miami Heat or the Toronto Raptors?
So, I mean, Kawhi going back to the Raptors. You know, the Heat, you know, they're still the Heat, but, you know, it's Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram.
Well, he did, but they do still have R.J. Barrett, though, too.
R.J. Barrett.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Raptors.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing. This is gonna be a crazy lethal duo with Scotty Barnes and Kawhi. I think that they're gonna get deeper into the playoffs, even though Giannis is now in Miami. Tim Hardaway Jr. is now with Miami. Bam Adebayo, but I think the Raptors are gonna be, a top 4, top 5 team again in the East. I mean, that's what they were last year without Kawhi. And Miami, who knows? They might be a play-in team.
Did something happen with Tyler Hero? And
what happened when Giannis went there, they traded Tyler Hero back to Milwaukee along with Khalil Ware. Actually,
some kind of like.
So there was an altercation. In I think they said in Las Vegas the other night. This happened where apparently, Bam he hit Tyler Hero.
Yeah,
I don't know the full details about it.
So that could throw a wrench in the things. Does LeBron want to go there? And I know that they're not all on the same team anymore, but do you even want to be a part of something like that?
That's also true too. I mean,
it's just something to think about.
That's true, but they do also have a little bit of a connection playing for Team USA together.
True.
But no, you are right. I didn't even think about that, to be honest. I'm gonna, just like you said, I'm gonna go with the Raptors too. But that is food for thought to think about that when it comes to LeBron. What about OKC or the Spurs? I think I'm gonna take this one first. I'm going to say the Spurs, again, will make it further than the Thunder. What do you think about that?
I'm going to say the Thunder.
Okay.
I am going to say the Thunder because I understand the Spurs are good and everything like that, but I still think, best on paper, I still think Oklahoma City is the best team.
You like the flopper, huh?
It's not that I like it, right? I mean, 31 points a game.
Yeah, no.
6 assists, NBA MVP.
SGA, he is great. And I will say this, the Thunder went out and got them another 7-footer. Now they have the Twin Towers that they think are going to be able to take down Wemby. I mean, we'll see what happens because obviously Chet Holmgren on his own could not get close to even really limiting what Wemby could do. So now NHL playoffs, who do you think will make it further between the Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens? Do you want me to go first or you want to take it?
I'm going to go with Montreal on this one. And the reason why is because I just think they got a good young core, a defenseman, and I know a lot of people are probably going to go against me on this one and go with the Sabres, but I really think that Montreal is going to be better than they were last year.
I watched a lot of Montreal games last year, and I thought that they might have had a really good shot of getting a little bit further than they did. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. And Buffalo,
they're young.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it was all three of them. I think it was them, Buffalo, and Anaheim had the most goals of anybody with players that were 24 and under. I think it was the stat. Yeah. Buffalo was a surprise team last year, I think, and I think they're going to be decent again, but And I believe they even won the division, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Montreal is going to win the division this year too. But yeah, I believe that Montreal will go further. Edmonton or Dallas? How much will Anderson help them?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. I am going to say I'm going to probably go with Dallas here. And it's not because of the star power, right? Because, Edmonton isn't lacking that. But I just think that goaltending and defense is going to let them down again, unfortunately, until they square that up. And Dallas is one of those teams that, like, they got some good players on that team. And I think, even strength on the penalty kill, on the power play, they're pretty consistent. And I like what they're doing out there in Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a little bit in shock when it comes to the fact that they had fired Pt.2. They never got to the point of where they wanted to get to. And I think when you think about this, who will make it further, you have to think, who's the better goaltender right now? Jake Ottinger or Frederik Andersen?
Yeah.
And honestly,
you got the best defenseman too there.
My head says Dallas, but my heart wants to say Edmonton.
I will agree with that.
Yeah.
I will agree with that because I like Leon Draisaitl and I like Connor McDavid, and I want to see them do well, but I just don't think that they're going to have the firepower, or I should say, the firepower to overcome what they're lacking in defense and goaltending.
Yeah. And, okay, I think this is a good one, too. The Minnesota Wild or the Anaheim Ducks?
Okay. So, I am going to go with the Minnesota Wild.
How dare you, sir?
I know. I knew you were going to be upset when I said that. But here it is, man. Kirill Kaprizov. Mm-hmm. I love that guy. And he, all the things that he's been through, putting up 93 points this year. And, you got Eriksson Ek there too. I know you guys got a lot of firepower, and most people are going to say, probably the Ducks are going to be a big sleeper this year. But I still think Kirill Kaprizov is probably on that rank with those two teams. He's the best player out there. And I think that they're gonna be able to take Anaheim out this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's no wonder why he was making the most money in the NHL prior to Leo Carlsson signing this deal. And, Minnesota, they made it further this year. They've been the more consistent team within the past couple of years. They've been a playoff team. But I just think that Anaheim, the strides that they... What's that?
A lot of firepower.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's why, even though Anaheim's my team, it's making me double think this, but I think that Anaheim is just... I think that they're going to even make more strides this year. We did lose a couple of veteran guys. Radko Gudas, who actually was our first captain since Ryan Getzlaf had retired, and we went a couple years without even having a captain. So, that's not something that's appealing for defensively, because Gudas played lights out all year this year, and he injured both Sidney Crosby and
Gudas is the
guy from Toronto.
He throws the body around for sure.
Yeah, so I mean that kind of is upsetting. But I'm gonna go with my team. I think I'm gonna go with Anaheim.
Yeah, and that's a really good pick. I just really like Kirill, and I think Minnesota is just they just play hard. They just play hard, and
I can't think who is their goalie. I'm having a hard time remembering who their goalie is. It Wallstedt?
I don't know.
I forget who their goaltender is, but I will say that he is still better than Lucas Dostal. Dostal, he's he's going to get better with time, which is why it's so unfortunate. And I've brought it up a lot of times that I'm still sad that we ended up trading away the best goalie that Anaheim had, probably the second best ever, in John Gibson to Detroit, only for Detroit to not make a playoff run. But I'm not going to spend much more time on this. Let's get to the last one here for NHL, the Flyers or the Capitals. I'm going to go first because I know who you're going to pick. Ovi is back for one more year, though his wife apparently is saying maybe 2 years. And I did see that they have, I believe it's like 10 players now that have scored 20 or more goals last season. I think it was the stat. But and I want to say Washington because of how great Ovechkin is. But realistically, I don't even know that they're going to make the playoffs again. So I'm going to go with Philly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going with Philly. I think that Washington's on the down tick, right? And much respect for Ovechkin and everything he's done and for the NHL and the way that he plays the game. He went out every night and he played hard. He played every game that he could play, right? And he scored goals, he'd fight you. He is a true hockey player all the way around, and much respect. But I just think that the Flyers, core guys right now are young and on the up, and I feel like that team, with Tom Wilson, those guys are getting older, and I think that the Flyers are just, they got more elite players right now, better playmakers in, with Travis Konechny and Zegras, and, if Mitchkov can, come around, he could be a 90-point player. And you got that, and you got the young guys, Tyson Forrester, Bobby Brink, Cam York. You got all those guys that are still, moving up the ranks. I got to go with them. And the Capitals can still be dangerous, and they got good goaltending, coming out of Logan Thompson. But Tom Wilson, those guys are getting older, and I don't know how long they can. You could start seeing some injuries from that team, and then, like you said, they may not make the playoffs.
Yeah, it was a lot of teams jockeying for position towards the end of the year. It was like 5 teams there, and you got to wonder, like you said, because Washington is getting older, if they were to actually match up against Philly in the playoffs, I think it would probably look a lot like what it looked like for Philly against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I agree. I think if that was the case, especially last year in that series. But, you can see the difference. One more round, right, you can see the difference in those teams. And I don't like the way the NHL has done their playoff. And we could talk about that another time. The way the playoffs work, I don't like the way it is. You got to play if you're in your division, your seeds can play each other, and you could be 3-1, 1-3, 1-2, and you guys are playing like a first round game. I just don't feel that.
I agree with that.
I think that the format needs to change, and I understand that they want the division play to be pretty much the end all be all right now, right? And I just feel like, okay, let's rank it conference 1 to 8, however you want to do that. But I don't like having to play out of your division, how that is, and I don't like the way the matchups are. But that's neither here nor there. That may be for another debate for another time.
Yeah, definitely.
But I definitely think that the Flyers are definitely moving forward, and Washington is they're closing out.
I agree. And then last, just 4 for the NFL, not playoffs. Who do you think will win the division? Steelers or the Ravens? I'll go first. another year older, Aaron Rodgers. I get it. Now he has 2 number 1 receivers, which is the first time since he had like Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams together, I believe. And he's back with Mike McCarthy, who's the only coach he had when he won a Super Bowl. I got to go with Baltimore. I think Baltimore is going to be much better.
It's an easy one for me. And love Aaron Rodgers for the player and what he's done as a player in the NFL. But Baltimore.
Okay.
Sure.
And this one, we already kind of talked about this. Eagles or the field. We already know I'm going with the field. You're going with the Eagles there.
Yeah, division.
Seahawks or the Rams. It's not that I think that Seattle is going to regress a whole lot, but how can you look at the Rams with how they were last year, and now you add a future Hall of Famer, arguably the best defensive end the game has ever seen in Myles Garrett, and now you have this talk about Aaron Donald possibly coming out of retirement, which whether it does or not, their defense is going to be way better than it was last year. I'm going with the Rams.
And I'm going to agree with you for all those same reasons.
And lastly, the Bears or the Lions. We've seen how good the Bears were last year. For the Lions, it was an anomaly. I don't think that that's going to happen again. Really, the division was so close. I think it was only a game or 2 games that separated the whole division. I think the Bears will still be in the playoffs again, but I think the Lions will maybe win the division again.
Yeah, you got to go with the Lions there. You know, better quarterback play and better, and you got one of the best running backs in the league.
And now
Gibbs,
they're letting the lead.
No Montgomery, so Gibbs is going to be getting a whole lot more touches, and he's going to go off on teams for big yardage. If you're drafting 1 or 2 in your fantasy, he's probably going to be 1 or 2 in most fantasy drafts, I would say. So I think the Lions are going to put up a lot of points this year, and they're going to get better quarterback play too.
And along with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Williams, now they have Isaac Tesla. Watch out for him. He's going to be a special talent at wide receiver, their 3rd receiver. But guys, this is going to be it. Before I play the outro, I just wanted to say thank you to Bones for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And I also wanted to, I got to plug all the stuff here. Just remember, you can always find Elite Sports Talk wherever podcasts can be found, especially on Spotify. And when it comes to the videos, they're always uploaded onto both Rumble and YouTube. Also, go ahead and check out the Substack page. And we'll be back soon.